Namaskar. Very warm welcome to all the viewers and learners in this live interaction of CIT NCERT. I am Renu Bhatt with you all and you are watching us live on PME Vidya channel, channel number 8. Apart from this channel, you are with us on our YouTube channels as well, that is NCERT Official and NCERT PME Vidya class number 8. Dear learners and viewers, this session is for Science 8th standard students and the topic that we are going to discuss today in this specific session is force and pressure. एंड दिस इज़ योर चैप्टर 8 एंड हम इस चैप्टर में जानेंगे बहुत सारी बातें फोर्स एंड प्रेशर्स के बारे में, स्पेशली इट्स टाइप्स, इट्स इफेक्ट. तो क्या क्या टाइप्स हैं, क्या क्या इफेक्ट हैं, आपको बताया जाएगा आज के इस सेशन में. डिटेल्ड इन्फॉर्मेशन आपको देंगे हमारे एक्सपर्ट जो हमारे साथ जुड़ चुकी हैं. सो विदाउट एनी फर्दर डिले लेट्स क्विकली मीट हर. यू आर मिस प्रीति मान, यू आर टीजीटी साइंस फ्रॉम बाल भारती पब्लिक स्कूल GRH मार्ग दिल्ली. मैम आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
थैंक यू.
और अपने सभी देखने वालों को हम कहेंगे बच्चों, अगर आपके मन में कोई भी क्वेरी आ रही हो, फोर्स और प्रेशर के बारे में ज़्यादा जानना चाहते हैं और या फिर आप अपनी ही कोई बात हमसे शेयर करना चाहते हैं, तो आप हमसे बेझिझक जुड़ सकते हैं हमारे विभिन्न माध्यमों के द्वारा. हम चाहते हैं कि आप हमें कॉल करें हमारे टेलीफोन नंबर पर जो है 8800440559. ईदर यू कैन ड्रॉप अ मेल एज वेल. आवर ईमेल एड्रेस इज़ dth.class8@cit.nic.in. हम चाहते हैं कि आप अपना फीडबैक हम तक ज़रूर पहुंचाएं. इसके अलावा अगर आप हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल्स पे हैं तो आपको बहुत छोटा सा काम करना है, आपको कमेंट ड्रॉप करना है और जैसे आप कमेंट ड्रॉप करेंगे आपका कमेंट हम तक पहुंच जाएगा. सो वी आर वेटिंग फॉर योर पार्टिसिपेशन. और जब तक आप अपनी क्वेरीज़ के साथ हमसे जुड़ते हैं, हम आज का ये सत्र शुरू करना चाहेंगे. और प्रीति मैम, हम आपके पास आएंगे और आपसे जानना चाहेंगे, हम फोर्स और प्रेशर की बात कर रहे हैं, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है हमारे बच्चों के लिए साइंस में जब हम बात करते हैं. तो क्या कुछ कंटेंट है आपके पास हमारे लर्नर्स के लिए, प्लीज डिस्कस.
Okay, so today in this session we'll discuss about force, what force is, because we have been studying this from grade 4. So what exactly new we are having to study in grade 8. Then we'll see that whenever force is acting, so what all are the necessary conditions for force to act on any object. After that we'll touch upon what are the different effects of forces. So what happens when force comes into play, and then we have types of force, that how one group of forces are different from the other group of forces. So we'll begin quickly with the definition that we are seeing throughout, that force is what? Force is a simple push or pull, right? That's the basic definition we give for explaining force, that what force is, either you push the object or you pull the object. Now what happens as a result of it? So whenever force is coming into play, whether you are pushing or pulling an object, so it changes the speed of the object, it changes the direction of the object. So basically what is happening, it is the kind of interaction that is occurring between two bodies or two objects, and as a result of it what is happening, there is change in direction of one of the object that is happening, which in turn results in the change of the motion. Now we are talking of interaction, so we'll see what kind of interaction it is, right? So here we see that forces, how they are happening, they are happening due to interaction when two objects they are coming in contact with each other. So in the picture what do we see, that two boys they are pushing a box, right? So when they are pushing means they are applying some sort of force, because that we have seen in the definition only. You either push or pull, what you are doing, you are applying force on an object. And what happens as a result of it, there is change in the direction. Now what do you think will happen in this case when two boys are pushing the object from one side? The box will move towards the forward direction, right? Force is applied from, say, towards this side, towards the right side. If I am applying the force, so the object will move towards left in the forward direction. Now when the forces they are acting in the same direction, now two boys are there in this picture, they are applying some sort of force, right? And it is not necessary that they must be applying some equal amount of force. one must be putting more force than the other.
Hmm.
But when they are applying forces together, so the resultant force will be sum of the forces applied by these two boys, right? The next condition, now in this case what is happening? Again these two boys are applying force, but now they are in the opposite directions. Now how this will affect the motion of this box? In the previous case what was happening? Both of them, they were applying force together from one direction. As a result of it, their forces were getting added up and the box was moving in the forward direction. Now in this case, again both of them, they are applying forces, right? Maybe same amount of force or varied amount of force. Now how will come to know that who is applying more force? Right, say if a person standing towards the left side, he is applying more force, so the object will move in the forward direction. And if the boy standing towards the right side, if he is applying more amount of force, so the object, the box will move towards the right direction forwardly. Okay. So what we'll see here, when the forces are applied from different directions, in that how do we calculate the amount of force? We take the difference of both the forces applying. Now we'll quickly see with some numbers here, right, that the first case, what was happening in the first case?
Ma'am, in first case both the person was pushing and forcing in the same direction.
Same
right?
direction. So we'll quickly make the object and say two boys in here, right? So this will, you have to consider these lines as two boys here. One is this one is this one. So say he has applied force, say 50, and this has applied force as 40. Okay. So what will happen? The box will move in the forward direction, and what will be the total force acting on this force? It will be the sum of both the forces. So we get 90. Now we know what is the unit of force. The unit of force is Newton. So boy A applying 50 Newton of force, boy B applying 40 Newton of force. What is the total force that we are getting? 90 Newton. Yes. And in which direction the object will move? It will move in the forward direction. Here what is happening? Both the forces are adding up. Now in the second case what was happening? Again we have a same box, but this time they are applying forces from different directions. Now consider this is as boy A and this one as boy B. So boy A, previously he was giving how much amount of force? That was 50 newtons. So we are just taking the force as same, that now also he is applying 50 newtons of force. And in this case he was applying force of 40 newtons, right? Now what do you think that in which direction this box will move? It will move from A to
B.
Why? Because boy A is applying more force. And by how much it is more? By 10 newtons, right? So when the forces are applied from different directions, so how do we find out that what is the total force? We calculate it by finding the difference of both the forces. Yes. Now we have seen that force is what? It's associated with the direction. So we say that what type of quantity force is? So students, they are usually confused with the quantities, whether it is a scalar quantity or a vector quantity. Now we quickly touch upon this. Scalar quantity is what? The quantity that only has magnitude, right? Say mass is a scalar quantity because mass we know, say it is 10 kilograms, right? 10 kilograms अगर किसी चीज़ का weight है, it remains 10 kilograms. Vector quantity, we have said that force is what? Force is a vector quantity. Now, vector quantity has magnitude as well as direction. So, these two are there in vector quantity. They have magnitude also, they have direction also. Magnitude is what? This numeral value, 90. So, 90 Newton in this case and 10 Newton in this case is what? This is the magnitude. And what is the direction? This is the direction, right? Now, when both the boys they were applying forces 50 or 40 Newton, the forces got added up, we got a number say 90 Newtons in the forward direction. In this case, we need to see that which out of these two is applying more force, because the person who is applying more force, the object will also move in the same direction. Right. So, this is how we see the interaction between the objects when we talk of forces.
तो ये तो बात हुई फोर्सेस की कि फोर्स ऑब्जेक्ट पे किस तरह से एक्ट करता है और किस तरह से कितना क्वांटिटी फोर्स मैम आपने बताया, जो दो केसेस के थ्रू बच्चों आपको ये समझ में आया होगा अच्छे से, और आप अपनी क्वेरीज ज़रूर बताएं हम तक। हम इस चर्चा को और आगे बढ़ाना चाहेंगे। फोर्स एंड प्रेशर की बात कर रहे हैं हम, तो मैम इसके बाद अब आप क्या बताना चाहेंगे?
ओके, नाउ वी हैव सीन दैट फोर्स एग्जिस्ट कैसे कर रहा है, इंटरैक्शन की वजह से एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है. Now next we have what are the effects of these forces, that when two objects they are interacting or when some amount of force is acting on them. So what happens? Okay, when force is applied on an object, it makes an object move. So objects either they are at the state of rest or they are moving. So when they are at the state of rest, there is no movement, and when some sort of force is applied, either push or pull, the object starts moving. Next, what do we see? That it changes the speed. Say now, okay, best example is the cricket pitch. One is batting and one is bowling. Okay, ball is coming with some force. Yes. Now at the same time, batsman, what he is doing is hitting the ball. So earlier, bowler, he threw the ball with some amount of force in the forward direction. Now the batsman, he is hitting that ball in some other direction. So what exactly batsman is doing? He is changing the direction as well as speed.
Okay.
Same goes with the goalkeeper in the football court. What he does? He tries to stop the ball. Yes, the job is what? The ball should not go into the goal. So what he does, if the ball is coming say from any of the directions, he tries to stop it. So what exactly he is doing? He is changing the direction also, he is changing the speed also. Now what is the next effect? It brings about change in the shape of the object. Now when we knead the dough or chapati roll karte jab, yeah, we are playing with clay. So what exactly we are doing? We are changing the shapes. Yes. So what do we do when we are rolling a chapati? We are applying some sort of force on there.
Yes.
Clay के साथ भी जब हम कोई sculpture बनाते हैं, so we are giving it shape from all these sides. Yes. So that force that we are applying over it, what it is doing? It is changing the shape. Now whenever force is getting applied, so what happens? या तो वो ये सारे effect दिखाएगा, that there has to be change in the speed, change in the direction, change in the shape, or one of either of these effect is seen when the forces are acting. Now next up we can pick up the next topic, that is that what are the different types of forces. Yes. So forces, we have seen that there has to be some interaction. Now next we have that how these types of forces coming into play, they either change the state of the object, right? So we'll quickly see a short demo over here that how we see this. So this is an object, is it moving or it is at rest?
At rest.
It is at rest. Yes, it will remain at rest forever until unless some external force is applied to it.
Right.
Yes, now I have applied some external force, it has started moving. Right. Now it will keep on moving. Now it is not moving that smoothly. So we can think of a aeroplane in say live conditions. Now it will keep on moving until unless the pilot is putting a brake over there. Yes, when he is applying the brake, what he is doing? He is changing the speed. Yes. Next we can see in here that changing the shape of the object, right? We can take a rubber band. Rubber band, when we stretch it, it expands. On stretching, what will happen? The shape gets changed. Sponge or the toys, soft toys, they can also be compressed because sponge, air is filled in inside. Spring also. Now again, this is the basic toy that children play with. Now this spring, it is not in any sort of motion right now. Yes, but if I pull it from either ends, what will happen to it? Its shape is getting changed, right? The shape is getting changed. Why? Because I am applying some sort of force to it. If I apply more force, it will go more far. If I apply less amount of force, so you can see the difference. Less amount of force, more amount of force, right? So this is how the objects interaction is being seen.
तो यहाँ पर बच्चों आपको पता चला कि फोर्स से ऑब्जेक्ट का शेप भी बदल सकता है, डिपेंड्स कि कितना फोर्स आप दे रहे हैं उस ऑब्जेक्ट पे. मैम यहाँ पे मैं आपको बता दूँ कि हमारे पास तकरीबन 5 मिनट का समय और बचा है सत्र के लिए. वी हैव ओनली 5 more minutes left for this session. Here we want to know more about forces, especially types of forces, ma'am.
Yes. So types of forces, it's the very next topic that we'll discuss. That now in short we have seen कोई भी force अगर act कर रहा है, there has to be two objects. So when they are in physical contact with each other, so we call them as contact forces, right? When they are not in physical contact with each other, so those two objects, when they are touching up each other, they show contact forces. When they are not touching up each other, still the force is existing. There it is a non-contact force. So we have certain examples to it coming up. Now we'll take up first contact forces. So muscular force. So you have seen what is happening in the picture. Children from both the ends, they are stretching this rope or they are playing tug of war. In this, what they are doing? They are applying force. So whosoever, whichever team apply more force, what will happen? The rope will go towards their side because they are pulling the rope towards themselves. Now in this particular force, what is happening? We are using the muscles. Yes, we are applying the force with the help of our muscles. Yes, so we have named it as muscular force.
Ma'am, can you please share some more examples of muscular forces?
Yes, lifting up a bucket. Anything that we are doing with our hands is an example of muscular force. Lifting up bucket, then writing again. It's a muscular force. It is a combination of force. Throwing something. So that is again a muscular force. Right. So writing, I have taken the example. Now while writing, we are using our muscles also. Now writing is what? What is there in it? Pen and paper in contact. Right. So that shows the next sort of force, that is frictional force. Now in frictional force, what is happening? There are two surfaces that are there in contact. Due to the irregularities, what happens? The forces comes into play.
So ma'am, what are the conditions necessary, ma'am, here?
Okay, so frictional force to act on, the conditions are there has to be irregularities in the surface. अगर surface smooth भी ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए, rough भी ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. There has to be irregularities because अगर सरफेस ज़्यादा स्मूथ होगा तो फ्रिक्शन अकर कम करेगा, and the tendency is the person can slip off over the surface. Yes, that's the first condition. Two objects needs to be there. That's the second condition for frictional force to occur. Now these are the example of contact forces. Now next we have non-contact forces. So the very first example in that is magnetic force. Now magnet, we know that it has got two poles, north pole and south pole to it, and we also know that like charges, like poles and like charges, they repel each other. Now if we face north north, so what will happen? They'll repel each other, but if it is north pole and south pole, they'll attract each other. So these arrows are indicating what will happen. So when black and red are coming in contact, attraction is happening. When red is coming in contact, repulsion is happening, because red these are the same poles. Now in the next case, what is happening? If you even try to bring red or black together, say north pole or south poles together, so the magnet will rotate itself. Yes. So in this case, what is happening? Magnetic force even is there on our planet. You throw anything, everything goes to the ground. Why? Because magnetic force is there in the existence. Now similar to this is electrostatic force.
Ma'am, in a
now
very brief you would like to know, ma'am.
Here we have charges present. Again, like charges, they repel each other, and unlike charges, they attract each other. So if you have positive charge, repulsion will occur. If you have positive negative charge, attraction will occur, right? And the last one, we have already seen the example of it, that's the gravitational force. So gravity is existing everywhere. So anything that is under gravitational force on our planet, it is going towards the ground. Reason is what? Our earth is a huge magnet in itself. It has got its north pole and south pole, right? So in these last three forces that we have discussed, gravitational force, magnetic force and electrostatic force, what is happening? The objects, they are not in physical contact, yet there is some sort of interaction that is occurring on one object under that force when it is coming into play.
तो ये तो रही फोर्सेस की बात। टाइप्स ऑफ फोर्सेस जान रहे थे बच्चों आप। तीनों फोर्सेस अपने आप में अलग अलग हैं और मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि आपको बहुत ही अच्छे से समझ में आया होगा फोर्सेस एंड प्रेशर्स के बारे में। एंड वी लर्न अ लॉट अबाउट फोर्स एंड प्रेशर। और अभी बिल्कुल समय हमें अनुमति नहीं दे रहा है कि हम इस सत्र को आगे बढ़ाएं, हमें इसे यहीं पर समाप्त करना होगा। लेकिन जाने से पहले प्रीति मैम, हम आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करते हैं। थैंक यू सो वेरी मच मैम कि आप स्टूडियो आए और आपने इतने अच्छे तरीके से पूरा चैप्टर हमारे बच्चों तक पहुँचाया। थैंक यू सो वेरी मच। और अपने सभी देखने वालों को भी हम थैंक्स कहना चाहेंगे। आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आप यूं ही हमारे साथ बने रहें। हम चाहते हैं कि आप यूं ही हमारे साथ बने रहें। हम आपके लिए ढेर सारे अन्य लाइव इंटरेक्शन भी लेकर आए हैं जो आप हमारे साथ देखेंगे। अब से कुछ ही देर में हम आपके लिए लेकर आएंगे अपना लाइव इंटरेक्शन मैथमेटिक्स के 8th स्टैंडर्ड स्टूडेंट्स के लिए। टॉपिक रहेगा रैशनल नंबर्स पार्ट 4। 4 बजे का समय जैसे कि आपको पता है हमारे ऑनलाइन प्रशिक्षण कार्यक्रम का है। हम आज इसमें बात करेंगे डिजिटल गिरफ्तारी पर। ये आज इसका चौथा दिन है। 5 बजे सहयोग सत्र में बात करने वाले हैं इंक्लूजन ऑफ वैल्यूज़ फॉर पॉजिटिव मेंटल हेल्थ, इस विषय पर। तो इन तमाम सत्रों में आप हमारे साथ बने रहें। और अभी फ़िलहाल मुझे रेणु भट्ट को दें अनुमति। आप बने रहें PME विद्या चैनल पर और अधिक रोचक और मनोरंजक कार्यक्रमों के लिए। नमस्कार।